Hi, everybody. It's Candace again with Tubby and Koo's Mid-City Bookshop. I am here. Let me make sure. Yes, my mic is on. I've had issues with that in the past. I am here from my living room to teach you how to play Splendor. You might see some pets walking around in the background. So if you do, you can either ignore them or look at how cute they are. Either way works for me. But let's go ahead and talk about how to play Splendor. So here is the setup for Splendor. And how this works is that you set up the cards in a grid. So you have 3 levels of cards. You have the green cards, which are level 1, the yellow cards, which are level 2, the blue cards, which are level 3. So the green cards are the easiest to buy. The yellow are the second hardest, and blue are the hardest to purchase. They're the most expensive. You also have nobles at the top, and you put out the number of nobles. That is the number of players plus 1. So this is a 4-player game setup. So we have 5 nobles out. And you also have the gems. So you essentially form a grid with the setup. Let's take a little bit of a closer look here. So as you can see, we have the gems up at the top, then the nobles, and then the grid. So the way that the game works after you go ahead and set everything up, the point of the game is that you're trying to collect the most number of prestige points, meaning you want to buy things that are worth a lot of points. You can find the number of points at the top of the card, which we'll go over in just a second. I'll show you a closer look at a card. But what we're trying to do here is gain points. You gain points by purchasing cards, and you purchase cards by collecting gems. So let's take a closer look at some of these cards here. The first card, this is a level 1 card, so this is a very easy card to purchase. For this card, you only need 1 white gem and 2 black gems, as you can see there at the bottom of the card. This card also gives you a blue permanent gem, which you can see at the top of the card. That means that once you obtain this card, once you buy this card, for the rest of the game, you get you have to pay 1 less blue gem than you would normally. So there are times if you collect enough of these permanent gems that you can just take a card without actually having to take gems, which is pretty cool. The way that you buy a card is on your turn. There are one of 3 things that you can do. You can either purchase a card, as we've said, you can take gems, or you can reserve a card. So let's go over those actions. So the first action is taking gems. So you can either take 2 of 1 gem on your turn, or you can take 1 of 3 different colored gems. So it depends on what you're trying to buy on the board. It may be better for you to take 2, or it may be better for you to take 1 of each color, 3 at a time. So you can do that, or and you can only take 2 gems if there's at least 4 gems in the stack. So if there are less than 4 gems in the stack, then you can't take 2. You have to take 3, 1 each color. So the next thing I want to do is show you how you purchase a card. So we'll put a card back up there. And the way that you purchase the card, so on your turn, you may want to take 1 white gem, 1 black gem, and 1 any other colored gem, which you can do on your turn. Or you may want to just take 2 black gems. You can do that either way. Will get you closer to your goal. Once you've collected the appropriate number of gems, on your next turn, you would be able to purchase this card and get a permanent blue gem. Let's look at a more complicated card. This is a level 3 card. So in this case, it costs you 3 blue, 6 green, and 3 red. So something that I haven't mentioned yet is that you can only have 10 total gems in your hand at any time, which means you couldn't have the correct number of gems to straight up buy this card, which means you have to get permanent gems in order to buy the card. You can mix permanent gems with regular gems in order to buy a card. So in this case, if you had, 4 permanent greens, then you would be able to take 2 regular greens and put that towards the 6 to buy this card. Once you purchase this card, you would get a permanent red gem and 4 points because this is a higher level card. Points are what you're ultimately going for here. So the lower level cards, if we can show the lower level card again, that lower level card gets you permanent gems. That is why you want to buy those cards. Some of them have like 1 point on them, but most of the time you're buying those lower level cards to get permanent gems in your hand. The higher level cards give you permanent gems, but they also give you points. So you want to get a good mix of things going on the board. And let's talk about the nobles for a second here as well. So the way that the nobles work is at the end of your turn, you would evaluate what you have in your hand. The nobles will only come to visit you if you have the appropriate number of permanent gems in your hand. So these regular gems don't count towards nobles. It's only permanent gems. At the end of your turn, if you have the appropriate amount of permanent gems as indicated there on the noble card, the noble would come to visit you and you would get 3 points. Every noble is worth 3 points in this game. And so that is how the nobles work. So let's take a look at a hand. So in this case, you have some gems in your hand, and you have some cards, and you have a card on reserve. So in this case, you have a permanent black gem, 2 permanent green gems, and you have 6 points in your hand. You also have a collection of other regular gems in your hand, and you have a card on hold. So let's talk about how you put cards on hold, which is the other thing that you can possibly do on your turn. If there's any card on the board that you're looking to buy that like you really want, this would be a really good card for me to have. You can take a gold gem, which looks like this. You can take the gold gem and you can select that card and put it on hold. So you can take a card and put it on hold in your hand. Once you do that, that card is on hold until you come up with enough gems to buy it. So in this case, this card, I need 7 black gems to buy it. So in this case, I would definitely need a collection of permanent gems and regular gems, or just 7 permanent if you're that good, to buy this card. After you take a card on hold, you can take the gold gem. It then becomes a wild card, and you can use it to stand in for any other colored gem. So in this case, if you needed 7 black gems to buy this card that's in your hand, then this gold could count as a black. So in this case, I have 3 blacks in my hand because I have 2 black gems and a black permanent gem, and I can use the gold. So I would actually have 4 black gems, which means that I can actually buy, I would only need 3 more gems to buy this 7 black gem card. So that's what's good about putting things on hold. Not only does it save it for later and none of the other players can buy it, but also it gives you that gold wild card, which is really good if you're looking to buy something that's expensive. Let's look at how you obtain a noble. So in this hand, you are looking at obtaining a noble. So at the end of your turn, you evaluate your hand and you see how many permanent gems you have. So in this case, we have 3 permanent green, 3 permanent blue, and 3 permanent white gems. So in this case, at the end of your turn, you look to see and you say, oh, look, I actually meet the requirements for the gem or for the noble all the way in the left of your screen. So if you see the top left, that noble requires 3 permanent green, 3 permanent blue, and 3 permanent white. So you'll be able to actually take that noble. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to turn anything in. At the end of your turn, that noble would just visit you and you would get those 3 points. You can take any number of nobles that are on the board. So if you ended up meeting the requirements for multiple nobles, you can take any noble that you meet the requirements for at the end of your turn. So that's another good reason to collect those permanent gems, is because if you do, you will also get visits from nobles. So while you're taking a look at your strategy for this game, it's best if you mix and match things. You definitely want to go for lower level cards, especially at the beginning, and start collecting those permanent gems, because those permanent gems are what will get you better things later on. And those permanent gems are how you get nobles to visit you. So you might want to do a mix of level 1 and level 2 green and yellow cards. The yellow cards will give you a little bit more points. They're like 1 to 3 points. The green cards are either no points or 1 point. So you might want to take a little bit of each of those and then take a look at the cards at the top and see what you need. And if you're looking at, you say, okay, I need blue, red, and green for both of these. So I'm going to start collecting blue, green, and red gems. So you kind of just have to take a lay of the land and look at the board and see what's going on in order to do your strategy there for the rest of the game. So the 3 things that you can possibly do on your turn, just to recap, the first thing is that you can take 2 gems of any one color. If there are at least 4 gems in the pile, you can take 3 gems of 3 different colors, or you can put something on hold using a gold. If you do that, that gold comes to you and you can use it as a wild card. You don't actually get the card on hold until you can pay for it. You can also purchase any card on the board as long as you have the correct number of gems to purchase it. You can purchase things with a combination of both permanent gems and temporary gems, which is what these are up here. So those are the 3 things that you can do on your board. At the end of the game, or the game ends once somebody has 15 points. Once somebody has 15 points, then the game ends, you finish the round, and at the end of the round, whoever has the most points wins. So if somebody hits 15 points, but somebody else can actually hit more on their turn right after that, then that person can end up winning the game. So that is how you play Splendor. This is one of my favorite games. It's pretty simple to play, and it takes maybe about 30 minutes when you're first playing and you're trying to learn. It might take a little bit longer, maybe 45 minutes, but it's actually a fairly quick game, and it's really fun to play. It's a 2 to 4 player game. I like it at 2, 3, and 4. And you can play it with pretty much anyone. I think like advanced 8-year-olds could even learn how to play this game. So I would say ages maybe 8 and up, depending on the 8-year-old, could play this game. So I think it's a good family game, and it's really fun and strategic. You really have to lay out your strategy of what permanent gems you want, what temporary gems you need, and buying the right cards to get yourself the most points. So thank you so much for watching this walkthrough of Splendor. I hope you enjoyed it. You can buy Splendor from us by emailing us. So you can email info@tubbyandcoos.com. And I'm going to show myself again so that you can see me here. You can email us at info@tubbyandcoos.com, and we can order this game for you. It's a $40 game. So if you're interested, just email us and we will hook you up with a copy. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.